Chapter 28, Empty Grave. Song Qingshu brought 40 Song Armor Sect disciples to stop at an open space. The Song Armor Sect disciple at the front probed his hand and grabbed a handful of crystal blue powder from his parcel. "Who are you?" The powder spilled out and immediately bloomed with a starry blue light. The powder fell to the ground, and the blue light lay flat on the ground, and between the flickers, 3 pairs of footprints appeared without the blue light at once. Senior uncle, dead air powder sprinkled out. Their traces can't be hidden at all. These 3 pairs of footprints have just stepped on for a few hours. There is still a large amount of anger left. Dead air powder light is lost. They are right in front. They can't run away. A Song Armor Sect disciple said excitedly. HMPH, run. I'll see where they run. They are only 3. We are 40. After we catch up later, don't talk too much. Just kill them for me, Song Qingshu said with a cold face. Senior uncle, must they die? HMPH. This is the order of the Patriarch. Earlier when there were many people, we couldn't reveal our purpose. Now that there are no more outsiders, let's consider it as revenge for Pangqianlong. Whoever kills Gu Hai, I'll ask the Patriarch for a punching gold pill. Everyone else, 20 lower grade spirit stones each, Song Qingshu said in a cold voice. Yes, the 3 of them, none of them will live. No, there's also that snake demon. The crowd of Song Armor Sect disciples immediately said with red eyes. However, Senior uncle, we need to hurry. Our whereabouts may be exposed. The man who had previously sprinkled the dead air powder frowned and said, "Oh, earlier by the small lake, I saw a pile of millet and some small birds foraging for food. As soon as we got there, the small birds flew into the sky. I didn't feel anything earlier, but now that I think about it, I feel more and more that something is not right. Millet. How is there millet in that place? Not good. Exposed. Chase. Quickly chase." Song Qingshu's eyes glared and said, "Yes." 40 Song Armor Sect disciples quickly scurried into the forest, with the deadly chi powder exploring. There was no worry about losing them. The group chased after them with eagerness. Gu Hai had Gao Xianzi quickly dig a large pit. "Helmsman, what is this for? Is it digging a pit for Song Qingshu and the others to fall into?" "But this pit is too shallow, right?" Chen Chonchen revealed a hint of eccentricity and said, "Who are you?" Gu Hai, however, took out a coffin from the small space of the token between his probing hands. Chen Chonchen and Gao Xianzi both revealed a bewildered look. Using a coffin to deal with Song Qingshu and the others, what kind of trick is this? Gu Hai very carefully placed the coffin into the pit and opened the lid. "What is this? Charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur, and so pure," Gao Xianzi said thoughtfully. Gu Hai, however, ignored it and carefully took out a lead pipe, connecting the charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur inside the coffin. Following that, he very carefully and slowly buried it with soil. Eventually, a piece of flint was used to place on the other end of the fuse, and next to it, a wooden board was taken out and inserted in front of it, leaning against the flint. Very carefully made a cover with soil, slowly, in front of the eyes, as if a tomb. The grave in front of the tomb has an empty wooden board tombstone. "This is," Gao Xianzi said blankly. Gu Hai took a deep breath and probed his hand to take out the brush and ink once again. The brush was dipped into the ink and wrote on the tombstone, "Song Qingshu. This helmsman now orders you to turn around and leave immediately. Do not follow. Otherwise, this tomb is where you will be buried." On the side, Chen Chonchen stared wide-eyed and said, This will do. What's the use of this?" Saying that, Chen Chonchen seemed like he was going to touch it. "Don't move." Gu Hai immediately let out a broken cry. Chen Chonchen looked at Gu Hai in confusion. "Gao Xianzi, sprinkle millet all around and we'll leave." Gu Hai shook his head without explanation. Yes. 2 hours later, Gu Hai's group arrived at the halfway point of yet another mountain. "Eunuch, look, look, the birds are flying." They chased them to that valley. Xiaoru instantly exclaimed. "Oh!" The three Gu Hai twisted their heads and stopped. Together, the three of them looked towards the land of that valley in the distance. So many small birds flew up around them. "Coming," Gao Xianzi said with a light in her eyes. Although Gao Xianzi didn't understand what Gu Hai was doing before, Gao Xianzi believed that it could definitely be out of his expectation. "They came after us, but what's the use of that tomb? Could it really scare them?" Chen Chongchen said with a look of disbelief. "In that valley land, senior uncle, look, there is indeed a lot of millet around. Gu Hai and the others put it there." "Yes." They fled to this direction, a Song Armor sect disciple said excitedly, thinking that a bunch of birds will help you guys. HMPH, too naive. When you get here, sooner or later, you'll have to die, Song Qingshu said with a scowl on his face. "Senior uncle, let's go after them," a group of Song Armor sect disciples said excitedly. With a heavy reward, there would be a brave man who wouldn't sell their lives. If they could get the punching gold pill by chasing and killing someone at the early stage of the innate realm. What was the punching gold pill? The gold rush pill was an elixir for the peak of the innate realm to impact the Jindom realm. It was precious and incomparable. It was a third-grade elixir now. Many people had red eyes. "Senior uncle, there's a tomb here. It was erected for you by Gu Hai." A Songjia sect disciple immediately changed his face and said, Song Qingshu's face sank as he stepped over. The 40 innate realm disciples also gathered around, revealing a curious look. "Song Qingshu, this helmsman now orders you to turn around and leave immediately. Do not follow. Otherwise, this tomb will be your burial place." The crowd read out the words on the tombstone, and everyone's eyes widened. Is this Gu Hai crazy? An empty tomb also wants to scare us, a Song Armor sect disciple sneered. "Gu Hai, it's nothing more than that. Since he wants to play, why don't we turn around and bury him alive? How dare you curse senior uncle?" The crowd of Song Armor sect disciples revealed disdainful scoffs. However, the words on the tombstone Song Qingshu's face to be gloomy for a while. "Helm Master, you're also considered a rudder master, just by you." Song Qingshu's face was grim as he walked to where the tombstone was and struck it with a palm. Bang! The tombstone that cursed Song Qingshu shattered with a bang, and in the split second of shattering the tombstone, a click came from the bottom of the tombstone, and a spark was induced from the flint. Halfway up the mountain in the distance. "Helmsman, that thing inside the coffin, what is it?" Gao Xianzi curiously said. "Yes, Yunggong, the sulfur, saltpeter and charcoal inside that coffin. What are they for?" Xiaoru was also curious. "Those are explosives," Gu Hai laughed. "Dynamite. What's the use of that?" Chen Chongchen said disdainfully. "Those few most ordinary materials, when combined, are not ordinary. It can explode," Gu Hai laughed. "Explode?" Chen Chongchen stared in disbelief. Boom! An earth-shattering roar came from the distant valley. Even from a long distance away, Chen Chongchen felt the earth shake violently. Turning his head to look, he saw that in that valley, countless amounts of mud rushed up into the sky, and smoke and dust shot up into the sky. Accompanying the countless amounts of mud, there were also a large number of flame-covered shattered trees, as well as a group of Song Armor sect disciples who were blasted up into the sky. Ah! A series of miserable screams resounded in that valley. Although Chen Chongchen, Gao Xianzi, and Xiaoru couldn't hear the miserable screams in the distance. But, along with the explosions, the group of Song Armor sect disciples, so many of their bodies were blown apart. Looking at the mangled legs and broken arms flying all over the sky, mixed in with the fire and mud, spilling in the air in all directions. Chen Chongchen's entire body was confused. At the same time, countless shocking sweats immediately broke out on his back. At that time, it seemed like he was going to touch it. Looking at the image of the blown-up body, Chen Chonchen was struck with a chill. Turning his head to look at Gu Hai, a chill unconsciously rose in his heart. "What a terrifying explosion," Gao Xianzi said excitedly with wide eyes. "The effect is better than I thought." Gu Hai slowly smiled. "Huh." Xiaoru was surprised. "At the innate realm, you can use your astral body protection. Unfortunately, they were too relaxed at that time. No one thought there would be an explosion, and it was too late for the astral body protection. So I guess they should have been cursing me at that time, being so relaxed. Even if they could survive, it wouldn't be good." Gu Hai laughed. In the distance, smoke rolled out and flames were all over the place. "Let's go," Gu Hai said indifferently. "Yes." Gao Xianzi looked at the exploding splendor in the distance with reluctance. Xiaoru looked at Gu Hai with adoration in her eyes. Chen Chonchen swallowed his saliva and looked at Gu Hai's back, revealing a bitter smile as he followed and chased after him. The land of the exploding valley. Flames shot out in all directions. Limbs and broken arms fell down all over the sky. Song Qingshu's whole body was instantly blasted black. After all, Song Qingshu had a strong base and survived the explosion. However, the huge impact of the explosion, or its fried whole body fracture, organs broken countless. The coffin is affixed to countless iron fragments. The explosion, iron fragments shot in all directions, cut the body of a large area of skin, torn countless fissures. Blood shot in all directions. The bones are exposed, charred black whole body, miserable. Puh, cough cough. In the fire, Song Qingshu spat out blood, while coughing. His whole body trembled, shivering as he looked at this raised valley. "Ah, help, senior uncle. I don't want to die." The Song Armor sect disciples, who were still alive in the surroundings, cried and howled. But at this moment, those who could cry out were less than 10, and most of them had blown off their arms and legs, countless times more miserable than Song Qingshu, and were terrified beyond measure. The ground a body, blood and flesh. Song Qingshu weakly twisted his head to look around. Nearly the entire army had been wiped out, dead and wasted. Buzz. Song Qingshu's head was roaring, and he couldn't hear everything in his ears. Looking at the direction he was going to chase to earlier. Did he still have to chase after Gu Hai? Ancient Sea's one tactic had wiped out his entire army. He was the devil, the devil. Ancient devil, ancient devil. Song Qingshu looked at the direction that Gu Hai's group had left in horror. Not far away in the valley, a gnarled man with a line of subordinates stared blankly at the explosion in the valley not far away. "Helmsman, Song Qingshu and the others. It looks like they have fallen into Gu Hai's way," a subordinate said with an ugly face. The gnarled man looked up at the distance and frowned slightly. "This Gu Hai, but I underestimated him. Helm Master, Song Qingshu and this group of losers, should we save them?" The gnarled man's eyes narrowed slightly and said, "Keep them for now. Although they are a bit stupid, they still have some value after all." "Yes,"